Yo, welcome back. And in this episode, I wanted to add some player health so we can get things moving along because eventually we're going to add like player hunger and player thirst and all that kind of stuff. So let's do health real quick and get that knocked out. In the last episode, we added like the torch damage. This guy has some health, and let's add player health. So what we want to do is go to your HUDs folder, that items HUD that we created, duplicate that. And this time we're going to call it status HUD. Status HUD underscore WB. Now, go into your status HUD, double click on it, and we're going to delete a lot of things. So on the left-hand side, we can just delete rocks, delete stone knives, delete torches. Delete everything except the weight and the weight block, the text block beside that. Cool. Now we only have weights and this text block, which is going to read the player's weight. So we'll move that to the other side of the screen. Whoops. Hold shift to select them both. And I want to move them over here. So I'll put the weight somewhere right here. Anchor it to the top right of the screen. So over here on the right, there's anchors, and you can anchor it to the top right. Now, what you want to do next is let's add some health. So let's go to the third person character. Content, blueprints, third person character. I need to add a couple of, it looks like a couple of variables here. So let's add one called health. And again, it could be an integer. It could be a float too to make it easier for you. But I like mine's as integer in this game. And I'm gonna do max health as the next one, max health. And both of those I'm gonna set at 100. 100 there, and max health, set it at 100. If you can't set your variable, that means you didn't compile and save. So compile and save, and make sure you set your variables to 100. Now that he has health and max health, we can go back to that HUD that we were creating, the status HUD, and we can duplicate the name weight. So right click, duplicate. And you see it's in the left corner because we didn't change the anchor of that one. We only changed the anchor of the first one. So let's change this anchor to the top right. Also this one to the top right. Now for this one that we just made, we're just going to say health instead of weight. So type in health. All right. Now, what you could do is you can make a progress bar to come after this. So we're going to do a progress bar right here. On the left-hand side, you'll find something that says progress bar. And I'm going to drag it off so it's long, so we can see the health, actually. And put the health right beside it. In this progress bar, I'm going to also anchor it in the top right. Weight, I'm going to move over here, right underneath that. And for the progress bar, what we need to do is go into where it says, first of all, change the color, the fill color. For me, I want mine to be red. So this is what's going to happen when he loses health. I'll show you what that looks like when we see the percentage. So find where it says percent right here, and you can fill it up, take it down. But we're not going to worry about that. We're just going to bind it. So create binding, cast a third person character. For the object, we need to get player character. Then we need to get health. Then we also need to get max health. Then we need to divide. Really, let's convert this into a float first and then divide it. So convert it to a float. Divide it by the max health, and that should give us the float there. Compile and save. So that will give us the health. Let's go ahead and check it out and see if we can put that on the screen. So instead of, in our third person character, let's go back to where it says event to begin play, which is in your add input mapping. And we created a widget. We did the items widget. Instead of that one, let's do the status widget. We'll pull up the items widget when we need it, but the status, we don't need it. Lastly, let's go to our items widget that we created and take weight and delete it off of there. So this widget will literally only be for our items now. Perfect. And we'll have to pull that up in some kind of pause menu or something like that, and we'll make it look way better than this once we get a lot more items. But for now, that's fine. Close that, close that, close that, close that. Third person character. Last thing we need to do is figure out a way to see if we can test this health. So I'm going to say G keyboard. I just want the regular G key. There we go, G. So when I press the G key, I just really want to take the health, get health, minus it by like a damage amount. Let's say this is a number here, like 20. And set the health. Every time I press the letter G. Perfect. And then after this, we're going to put a death status on the character if this works all fine and dandy. So we've got our health in the top right. Let's go ahead and press G. Oh, 20, 40, 60, 80, dead. Perfect. It works perfect. Now let's go ahead and add that dead status in. So go back to your third person character, and if health is less than or equal to 0, then we need to add a branch. If it's true, we need to do something like die. So let's add in one more variable over here on the left, and we'll call it dead. And it needs just to be a Boolean. And right here on the true, we're going to set dead to true. And then we're going to play animation montage, play anim montage. And let's go into the character's animations. I know I had a dead one. I had to have downloaded something where he dies. And all I got to do now is turn it into an animation montage. What we're going to do is we're going to right click first and create anim montage. Then double click on your anim montage. On the left hand side, you're going to see enable auto blend. We need to turn that off. Once you have that off, save and replace this anim montage with the one you just made. Compile and save. And also we need to get the character movement right here at the end and say set movement mode to none. So that's what's going to happen when he dies. Now let's see what's going to happen when he gets hit. And I got a lot of stuff in the way. Let's move all of this out of the way, including that. Let's get it up here at least. Okay, and so on the false, we need to just play an animation montage. And while he's moving right here, we can set the movement mode to false as well, to none. So copy these two, copy, paste, and plug that straight into false. So set the movement mode to none first, and then play an animation montage. But this time we need a hit reaction. So you should have had some kind of hit reaction, because that's one of the animations that we definitely need. Okay, now that I got my hit reaction in the game, I got to do the same thing. So hit to body is what mine is called. I'm going to right click it, create anim montage. This time we don't have to freeze it on the last frame, so we can just take this anim montage right here, plug it in. Then you need to do a delay from here, delay. And from the green, make sure it's plugged in, because we want to delay just as long as this animation lasts. And then we want to set the movement mode back to walking. So set movement mode back to walking. So he's going to get frozen when he gets hit, which most games have that happen. And then he'll be able to move. Now, this code is all set up, and basically we're going to replace this G key with a custom event. So right click and say custom event, add custom event, and this is going to be called player take damage. Okay, now we have that. We're going to hook that up, but right now we're going to leave it as G. And we need to create one more variable. This variable, we're going to plug it into where the damage slot would be. So right now his health is getting minused by a damage number, which is 20. So we need to make a variable, which is an integer. And we're going to call this variable enemy damage. So now you can set the enemy damage. And you can plug that up into here. Boom, boom. For now, let's set it to like 20. Just so we can see this example play out. But we don't have to set it. We're going to set it each time the enemy attacks, so that the enemy can do different kinds of damage. Let's see here. That's good. Save. And now let's go to test this out. If it works out good, then this is pretty much the end of the video. So play, and we press G. He gets hit. Ugh. 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 And now he's dead. Perfect. So that worked out perfectly. Now we can just go ahead and replace that variable, or excuse me, the G key with this custom event, player take damage. And now your player can take damage and they have health. In the next episode, we're going to add their hunger and their thirst system so that we can start crafting food and finding food and stuff like that. So I hope you learned something in this one. Make sure you save everything, and I will join you on the next one. Peace.
Run to the money, on my feet, don't fail. The DA and the judge, wanna do their best to jail. I done turned it all.